stopper knot. A stopper knot is a very common and simple knot to tie. Highlighted in its name, the stopper knot is usually tied following a more complex knot to prevent the main knot from completely untying should it become loose. So you better hope you get it right. The first step in creating the stopper knot is forming a loop. Well done, you have a loop. Alright, now that the loop is formed, take your leading end and pass it through the loop. Now here's the tricky part. Pass your leading end through the loop a second time. Pull both ends to tighten the knot. And there you have it, a stopper knot.
The square knot, also known as the reef knot, is very helpful when tying two separate ropes together or when tying around an object to carry. To begin, place both ropes parallel to each other with the leading ends of each facing in opposite directions. Select the leading end of one rope and cross it over the other to form an X. Now, with the same leading end, pass it under the other rope to form a twist. Then, take both leading ends and point them up, parallel to each other, to form a U shape. Now, cross the leading ends over each other to form the same X shape from step 2. And as previously mentioned in step 3, pass the leading end under the other rope to form another twist. Pull both ends tight to complete the square knot. If you can't get this, well, you haven't not a clue.
The half hitch is a common and simple knot and is frequently used when tying around an object. To start, form a loop around an object. Take the leading end and pass it under the rope to form a twist. Now, without undoing the twist, carefully loosen. Then, pull the main rope to tighten. Did you get cold feet on your wedding day? Because you're only half hitched.
Double half hitch. Though the half hitch is simple to tie, it can easily come undone with enough movement. This stated, a single half hitch is typically followed by another, creating a double half hitch and therefore a stronger knot. The first step in creating the double half hitch is to place the leading end around an object and then over the main rope. With your leading end in hand, tightly wrap the rope around your object. Now that your leading end has passed all the way around your object, place it over the main rope again. And pass your leading end under your main rope. Then pass it over itself and tighten to create a half hitch. Begin to form a double hitch by repeating the last step. Now, tighten the knot to complete your double half hitch. Well done! And don't worry if you don't succeed in tying the knot the first time. You'll get over hitch.
The bowline. Often referred to as a safety knot, the bowline is one of the main knots used in mountain climbing, sailing, as well as search and rescue. This knot is able to be wrapped around an object or an individual, and when tied properly, remains in place, preventing sliding and tightening of the loop. An easy way to remember how to tie this knot is to follow the story about the rabbit. Let's begin. Begin by forming a small loop part of the way up your main rope. It is important at this step to leave excess length between where you created your loop and the leading end to ensure you will have enough rope to wrap around a person or your desired object. Now, take your leading end and feed it through the small loop, making the rabbit come out of its hole. Pass the leading end under your main rope or have the rabbit run around the tree. Then, take the leading end and pass it back through the small loop. The rabbit runs back into its hole. Continue to pull the leading end through to tighten. Oh, that's a fine bowline!
Figure 8, or the Flemish knot, is used as a stopper knot. This knot is often the first step when tying more complex knots and is the first knot when tying a figure 8 follow-through. The first step in tying a figure 8 is forming a small loop at one end of the rope. Then, pass the leading end under the main rope to form a twist. Now take your leading end and pass it through the loop. Pull tightly to complete. Do you work out? Because you got a nice figure 8. The figure 8 follow-through is one of the strongest knots to tie and can be used when tying around an object or to a harness when mountain climbing. Though the knot is strong, it should always be followed by a stopper knot for safety. Similar to the bowline, always ensure that you have a lot of extra rope when beginning to formulate a figure 8 follow-through. It's a common mistake to find yourself without enough rope when trying to complete the follow-through. To begin, pass the leading end under the main rope. Now, pass the leading end over the main rope to form a twist. Turn the rope back to pass the leading end through your loop to create a loose figure 8. Once again, should you find yourself without enough rope, just continue to feed the main rope through the figure 8 until you have what you need. Now, ensuring you have enough rope, take your leading end and pass it through your object. It's at this stage that you want to begin to follow your rope through the first figure 8 formulated. To begin, take the leading end and pass it through the loop of the figure 8 that's closest to your object. Now, take the leading end and follow the outside of the outermost loop and then back up through the closer loop of the figure 8. Having pulled the leading end all the way through, pass it under the rope that is now wrapped around your object. Once again, pass your leading end through the center of the outermost loop. Pull all the way through and tighten to finish. If you were my friend, I'd call you figure 8 because you know how to follow through.
If you're having a hard time, remember the golden rule. If you don't know your knots, you better tie lots!